Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Sunday, April 30th, 2023. Good morning. I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with an update on WWE Draft picks. The 2023 WWE Draft continued Saturday morning on the SmackDown Lowdown Talk Show. The new picks were as follows. The Viking Raiders and Valhalla, Natalya, Chelsea Green, and Sonya Deville were drafted from SmackDown to Raw. Dexter Lumis, Candice LeRae, and the Maximum Male Models stable will remain on Raw. Lacey Evans and the Hit Row faction will remain on SmackDown. Omos, along with his manager MVP, Mustafa Ali, Dolph Ziggler, and Von Wagner were also announced as free agents able to move between brands. And announced as being drafted from NXT to Raw were Apollo Crews, Zoe Stark, and JD McDonough. The WWE Draft began last Friday night on SmackDown and will continue this Monday night during Raw. In news from Impact Wrestling, CM Punk was backstage at the Impact tapings last night in his hometown of Chicago, according to a PW Insider report. Punk, currently still under contract to AEW, was reportedly welcomed backstage at Cicero Stadium for the second night of the Spring Slugfest tapings. The backstage visit comes just 5 days after Punk appeared backstage at WWE's Monday Night Raw tapings, also in Chicago. On that occasion, he was asked to leave after 20 minutes. Prior to joining the WWE developmental system in 2005, Punk wrestled regularly for Impact Wrestling back in 2003 and 2004, appearing on many of the company's weekly pay-per-view shows during its original incarnation as NWA Total Nonstop Action. In news from Japan, Taichi won the New Japan Pro Wrestling King of Pro Wrestling title yesterday at Wrestling Satsuma no Kuni in Kagoshima, Japan, defeating Shingo Takagi in 43 minutes and 40 seconds. Taichi's victory marked the first change of the title since the original King of Pro Wrestling trophy was replaced with a championship belt last December and ended Takagi's second reign with the title after 114 days and 2 successful defenses. Also on the card, Aussie Open, Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher successfully defended the IWGP World Tag Team title against Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste. After the bout, Davis and Fletcher were challenged by Evil and Yujiro Takahashi. And in ratings news, the SmackDown overnights are in, with last Friday's draft episode drawing a total of 2.298 million viewers, a significant increase from the previous week's overnight rating of 2.088 million according to Spoiler TV. The overnight rating in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic was 0.61, also up from last week. Full ratings numbers for SmackDown are expected later on this week. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.